Hello, my name is Baron Redman.
And I'm Kiri Evins.
And I'm the director of Vigilante. And,
whoa, hold up, what?
What? We're doing something here.
You're the director of Vigilante now?
Yeah.
No. We're co-directors, remember?
Co-directors? What the hell?
You don't remember at the beginning of all this? We sat down, talked about it. We're co-directors. Together, you and I.
No!
Stop laughing, you Bruce Willis look-like reject!
Okay, those are fighting words.
If the bald head fits.
Aren't you the co-star of this film?
Where's your girlfriend? Oh, that's right.
Maybe it's true what they said about redheads and being crazy.
Well, your dog is fat.
You're fat!
I'm pregnant. There's a difference.
Where?
That's it.
Round one, fight.
Whoa. Time out. Okay, you're a woman.
Yeah.
And you're pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Kinda.
So I can't exactly fight back. Gentle. Down, that's not gentle. Ow. Ow, jeez, my eyes. Is that a cat? No, not the cat. Ow, you feline fiend. Chickens? Chickens now? Give me.
Hi, I'm Kiri Evins, director of Vigilante.
Vigilante, you pregnant witch.
Whatever. How do you determine when you have the correct lighting? Is it by feel?
A lot of the times, yes. I mean, obviously, you know, you can light it a million different ways, but I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at it through the camera or with your eye, you know that you've hit it. You know, you may be, and when you show up on set, you may have an idea for a shot where, you know, you're like, okay, this is how the light's going to be, and then you set up just one light, and you're like, well, wait a second, that looks 10 times better. You know, that looks awesome, it looks great, and you just go with it. So a lot of times it's guessology. A lot of the times it's, if that's even a word. But a lot of the times, yeah, it all depends on like how you see it. You know, you may, you know, most dramatic scenes, you got your 3-point lighting and that kind of thing. But honestly, for me, it does come down to feel. It does come down to, you know, what are you feeling in that scene? What is the emotion behind the scene? What's driving the characters? And what we tried to do with this film in terms of lighting actually is everything is from Joshua's perspective. Everything is from how he sees things. So the beginning of the film, everything is lit very much brightly lit. Everything is very bright colors. Everything is, you know, either, you know, on a... My dog is barking, I apologize. Everything is a lot smoother. Everything's on sticks or dollies. But then whenever the story takes a darker turn, all the colors become desaturated and the camera goes more handheld, because this is how Joshua sees things going on. So we always wanted the lighting to reflect what our characters were going through in that particular time.
You say you compose music. What instrument do you play?
I don't actually play an instrument.
We're both not.
I couldn't worth the life of me, but I do follow the orchestra, and I do, you know, pay attention to it. And what I try to do is I have software. I have Pro Tools and Pro Scores and Aerospheres and that kind of thing to use to compose different styles of music. But I've always wanted to get into orchestral composing, and it wasn't until a few months ago that I started just dabbling in it more and more, and really wanted to understand the orchestra and understand every section of the orchestra. And luckily for me, the burden of scoring the film has not fallen on my shoulders. It's fallen on the shoulders of a good friend of mine named Daniel Frost. And,
who is amazing.
Yeah, he's doing something really, really special with this score. Mm-hmm. And we just recently had Luke Richardson, which his last name, I'm sorry, Luke, but your last name just is weird. I want to say Luke Richards, but it's Luke Richardson. So, I'm sorry. But No, he's come on board because what we found in scoring these is that Daniel is good at scoring the more emotional parts of the story, and Luke can score the action stuff really, really well. So they both decided to collaborate. He would take the action stuff, and Daniel would take the emotional stuff. But from what we've heard so far, they're creating something that is really powerful, that like takes, and everyone says this all the time, but it literally takes the film higher.
Yeah.
You know, it really lifts it up and makes it something much more powerful than what it originally was.
And the amazing thing about these two composers is that they have not met any of the actors. We haven't even they haven't really met Baron too much.
No, they met me a few
And
times.
we've just been in contact with them through a distance, across the states even, and they have been able to compose this amazing music without knowing too much about the film, and it's just, they hit the spot every time.
Yep, and they've seen one or two scenes cut together. I mean, scenes that I felt they needed to see the emotion, they needed to see what the actors brought to it. They scored a scene, one of Kiri's scenes, a few weeks ago, and they watched it, and they were glad they did because even Daniel was like, I'm not really sure how. Like, I read it in the script and I was like, I kind of know what I want to do. He goes, but then I saw the performance and it completely changed everything that I thought I wanted to do, and now I got to do something that was even much more about the character, not about making a score, not about any of that kind of stuff. It was about what Kiri and Jacob were doing in the scene, and he was spot on because it just tugs at your heartstrings and it makes you understand. The music helps you understand more about what these characters are going through and the connection that they share, and the fact that they can just like Kiri said, they'll see one or two, they'll read the script and then he'll start scoring pieces because we have such a distance between us, him being in LA and me being here. At the same token, he'll like call me constantly and be like, hey, I read this scene. How are you envisioning this scene? How are you and Kiri going to do this? How are you going to shoot it? What do you feel is the emotion behind this scene? And I'll tell him, and he'll go off and score something. And that's a totally unconventional way of doing things, because usually you would cut a film and then you would send it to your composer and he would compose the film all cut together. But we are on a very, very tight post-production schedule, so we don't have time to do it that way. And actually, it's turning out better than I thought it would, because I heard that process like, no, that's not how you do things. But now that we're doing it that way, I'm starting to see, okay, this actually works, and it's coming out a lot better. The score right now has about 14 pieces to it, and we're still waiting on some of the action stuff. So.
That was a long-winded answer for a short question. Yep. Moving on.
You're welcome, ladies.
How much hard drive space do you think Vigilante takes?
As of right now, we're up to 746 gigabytes right now. So, and we still have a lot of the action stuff left to shoot.
Which is a huge bulk of hard drive. The poor computers.
Yeah.
They're suffering. What was it that attracted the both of you to come together to do this project? I really like this question. Baron came to me about a year ago, actually, and sat me down. I was like, I have this idea. Let me know what you think about it. And he laid out Vigilante for me and said, Baron, you have to do this. You have to do this. I mean, even if I'm not a part of it, do it. I wasn't expecting to be. But anyways, so he goes off, he starts writing, and then he puts out a message to everybody, I need help writing this script, and I love writing. And so I said, well, let me give it a try, and we start writing this script together, and then it just kind of took off from there. I started falling in love with the characters. I loved Amber. She was such a strong, just hard-edged character, and I felt like this message really needed to get out there, to not delve into so much grieving, but, to learn how to get through this, because everyone has to experience this eventually in their lives. And so it's something that can connect to everybody in the world, and it just kind of went off from there from writing to being asked to co-direct and then being asked to audition. And yeah,
she wouldn't DP the project. I don't know why.
No, I mean,
she wouldn't edit it either, or compose the music. I offered it all to her.
Oh, but it's been an experience, and it's getting close to the end, and I'm actually gonna be sad to see it end, but also excited to see it in the theater. So.
I'm gonna pretty much piggyback on what she said. When I got done with my last film, and I knew that my next film I wanted it to be something. My last film was more of an action piece than it was anything, and I felt that I missed a lot of emotion and a lot of humanity in my last one. I mean, although it may not seem that, that's how I felt. So I knew my next project, I wanted it to be something that every audience person could connect to, whether you'd been through it or not. You know someone who's lost somebody, whether it was to an act of violence, whether it was to, you know, disease or any of that kind of stuff. You've seen people grieving, you've seen what that's like. And I always thought, I was like, I want to look at grieving from the eyes of someone who has never experienced it, who's never really given it any serious thought, who's been so obsessed with settling in their lives that they never even thought to themselves, hey, this could happen to me. And when I started thinking about that, I started just writing up different ideas. And when I thought to myself, what would I do? Personally, what would I do if the one person that I had, my only living relative, was taken from me in an act of violence? And I really had no answer. And I spent a few days just realizing that I don't know what I would do. You know, I don't think any of us do. I mean, disease is something that you either know is coming or you don't. But an act of violence is something that just happens. And I wanted to explore this idea of the 5 stages of grief and what would happen if someone got into one of those stages and never came out of it. What if you fell into the anger stage and you never left and you couldn't get out of it? What would that do to you? How far would that drive you to find answers, to find a reason in what happened to you? And how do you come out of that? How does one person go from seeking vengeance and that being the only thing in their life to coming out of that with a sense of hope, with a sense of understanding about what happened to that person, to themselves, to everything around them? Because grieving affects everybody. So for me, that's really where this idea started from, was creating not only a connection for the audience so that they're not just watching somebody going, okay, they're actors, but they're watching something real, they're watching something tangible, something that they go, that's exactly how my friend acted, or that's how would I respond if this happened to me? Baron, is Kiri Evins just as hot in person as she is on film?
Do you guys use a storyboard with rough ideas to do the shoot, or do you have something already in mind? We don't have a storyboard. I have a binder that I keep everything in. Most of it is pretty much just in our heads. Yeah.
And a lot of time,
not the most organized bunch of directors.
Well, it's one of these things where my mind thinks what they call it, I think, in post. Mm-hmm. I see the movie completely completed in my head. I see it shot for shot, beat for beat, with the music, sound effects, and everything. So when I get on set, I know exactly what I'm going to shoot, where I want to shoot it. But a lot of times the location will destroy that idea in your head. You're like, I'm going to do this shot, and you get there and you're like, why can't I do this shot? You know, and it's because the walls are too close together or whatever. So you got to think on the fly sometimes. Other times you walk into a location, you're like, this is perfect. I can shoot everything that I wanted to, and then things will start going off without a hitch. But I really don't storyboard. I have to be honest. A lot of filmmakers that I know will storyboard, and they see it as being essential, and it is. But for me, I love that almost the pressure of getting on set and going, how am I going to shoot this? You know, and also it's about how you're going to feel that day. When you show up on set, how are you feeling that day? You know, are you feeling in the scene? Do you have a better understanding of the scene now? Because if you storyboard something and you become so concrete in that, and you make your shot list and you go over it with your DP, and everyone's like, this is what we're going to shoot, and you get there and you start shooting this stuff, you really limit your ability to be creative. Because you may be shooting something going, oh, I want to do this instead. If you got everything locked down that you're going to be doing these shots this way, this is how we're going to do it, you're not going to have time to let your creativity run you. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what we wanted to do, was that we wanted to go into this every day, getting on set and going, how do we want to shoot this? Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about it. We'll be like, what about this shot? Or putting a camera over here and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And Kiri will be like, I want to put the camera over here. I'm like, oh, we're breaking 180. And she's like, what's that? You know, but you know, a lot of the times, you know, we'll just go on set and we'll just go completely by feeling.
Can you tell me what it was like taking on such a big film like this? Well, it's been just about every emotion you can probably describe. It has been chaotic, up, down, everywhere, just stretching, pulling, just...
No, honestly, no. She's right though. You know, throughout, especially a film of this scale, you know, you're not doing a 5-minute short film. You're not doing something like that. You're doing something that is taking up not only a lot of your time, but a lot of your strength, a lot of your confidence, and is testing everything that that you know about yourself and about filmmaking.
Yeah.
You get on set and you can be like, we had the snowstorm over the wintertime, and that set us back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things you just kind of go into. You're like, oh, okay, we're going to shoot this, and you're like, why is there 4 feet of snow? And that completely destroys it. That destroys your entire day of shooting, and so it can really just run you ragged.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes one shot could take 5 to 7 hours. It's just, we've had some of those days.
Like you can prepare yourself all you want. You can say, oh, I'm ready for this. I can do this. It's not until you start shooting do you realize what did you get yourself into. But at the end of the day, when you get it done, when you get that scene done, and you go home and you lay in bed and you're like, and you see the dailies the next day, and you're like, holy crap. You're like, that looks great, or it sucked, but we did it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the important part, and that's where it all came down to for us. Was that yes, it's running us ragged. Yes, we're tired, we're stressed out, we're angry, we're every 50 Shades of Grey, but that's a book.
We are not 50 Shades of Grey. This is not that kind of movie.
No, it's not. It might be more popular if it was, but no, but yeah, it definitely can run you 6 ways from Sunday. So.
Oh yeah. All right, final question. Would you say this film is a superhero film or just a hero film?
I've gotten this question a lot, actually, because people see posters and they see that kind of thing, see the trailer, and they're like, oh, okay, it's a superhero film. I'm going to have to say no. It's not a superhero film, nor is it a hero film. Because Joshua is not out. A, he doesn't have any superpowers. And B, he's not out to inspire hope. He's not out to do any of that kind of stuff. He is doing what he is doing for a completely selfish reason. Yeah. He's not out to do any of the things that superheroes do or heroes do even. It's just what he's doing that gets the attention of the media. And the media blows it up like they usually do. And that is the only hint of heroism at all in this, is what the media is making him out to be. But if they knew, really, he's doing this because he's angry. He's doing it because he wants vengeance. Mm-hmm. That's it. He has no aspirations of being a hero, and we never even hint at it. Mm-hmm. It's just what the media does with it.
Yep. And he's not going through the process of, if I do this, will it make me more of a hero in everyone's lives? He does not care how the public sees him. Yeah. He goes out there and just completely pummels these guys because of his rage and his anger, and he is not thinking about anybody else but really himself. So there is no kind of, any kind of heroism that's kind of driving his character.
There's really not, and that's I think, and I can understand where people get that sort of feeling from it. But this is I particularly, whenever I started putting this spin on it, I sort of looked at it. I was like, I don't want people to confuse this with being a hero film or superhero film or anything of that genre. But I mean, you put a mask on somebody.
Yeah, but the title is almost more of an irony than anything. That's where people get the whole, is it a superhero hero film, and we call it vigilante because that's what the media calls it. Yeah. And it makes it more ironic that they're calling this selfish human being a vigilante, because they don't see it from his perspective; they see it from their perspective. Yeah.
Well, those aren't all the questions. We actually got a butt ton, but we tried to break them down because we knew knowing me, I'd have a bunch of long-winded explanations. We broke them down just so we could please both, filmmakers' technical aspects and also the audience's questions. But yeah, that's pretty much all the questions that we had.
We want to thank you for all the questions. You got some really good ones, and thank you for all the support you guys have been putting on Vigilante, and just keep it up and keep spreading that word around.
We actually do have a little bit of news. The premiere was originally scheduled for October, which is now going to have to move to November 23rd, it's a Saturday, of this year, because of some technical throwbacks that we had to catch up on. So instead of October, it will be November 23rd, and we just we'll post something about it on the Facebook page in writing, because I don't know how many people are going to be seeing this. But so thank you again for all the questions that you guys gave us and the support you guys have given us. It's incredible. We're just a tiny,
almost there,
kind of tiny independent film. The story's big, but we just, it's really, it means a lot to us that people would give up so much support and time and effort into showing their support, and for that we are very, very grateful.